All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Gankutsuou, the Count of Monte Cristo, Episode 5. Golden Palace Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And he just gave Albert a sword that was connected to his father, Edmond's father.
Yeah, and that whole picture and everything. Mercedes is going to clue in eventually. Albert's probably going to clue in eventually.
Yeah, this is good. Count is seeding more little seeds of torment and torture, specifically for Mercedes at this point. But also, I think he's really starting to flex with the power of influence he has over Albert right now.
Sure, yeah.
Because this is getting to that point where I really could see him being a bit more brazen, not too soon, but soonish, you know.
What's the good of revenge if you don't leave a calling card, right? So that they know it was you. That being said, that is not the most effective thing to do for plans if you want to just achieve an outcome.
Right, you need to be patient.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, he wants to have his tell Cersei I want her to know it was me.
Because of course he's been holding off on this for so long. He's been hungry for this, and now he's starving, and the food is right in front of him.
Yep.
It'd be a shame not to dig it in.
But that's where the conflict will come in a really cool way, is that he'll get a little bit too much of his fangs shown, and then others with pretty good heads on their shoulders. A lot of these characters seem really smart at this point. The non-Albert kind, you know? Right. Very much can sense the approaching doom, the approaching predator, if you will.
Yeah.
Which is cool because we saw Morcerf kind of have this thing of like, he's shady, but we could use that.
I kind of like it.
Right, exactly. And I'm really excited for the Count to get introduced to the other big players, because I know that they're going to see that side of the Count and be like,
oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's delicious.
Right, because
we could definitely get some things done if we worked with you.
Because on top of the revenge, with the calling card, what better than to make it be the very vices that made them betray you?
Yeah.
That is the thing that results in their downfall. So that it's like, oh, you fool. You saw this coming the entire time, but you didn't realize just what you were dealing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever said keep their friends close and their enemies closer didn't have many enemies.
Didn't have the right enemies.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Picturing back pictures of everything.
Oh, the Graham is gonna love this.
The Graham? This guy's like an official, like,
Space Graham, you know?
No, right, but he's probably got the equivalent of like a solar system-wide newspaper.
Yeah.
80s. Yes. That's right.
美しい。まさかあれも作り物じゃないでしょうね。失礼なことを言うな。彼女は
エレという名の。
Oh my god.
いいか。伯爵は君らが思ってるほど冷たい
As cold, really? You had to use that word?
Right.
私には自分が見えませんので。
Yeah.
あり。エレ同様、私が所有する。哀れな気高い人形です。
Okay.
エデ、モルセール子爵が不思議に思われている。お前は私の何であるかと。
そのように美しいたおやかな方が枝で、伯爵が花とはね。あなたはそれで幸せなんですか？
Yeah.
私の琴の音は曇っていますか？
いいえ。
No, it doesn't.
琴の音は私の心。迷う心に弦は答えず、張り詰めた心は弦を断ち切る。
愛し合うだって？何を甘ったるいことを言ってるんだ。どういう意味だよ。貴族の結婚なんて所詮財産目当ての政略結婚。
That's actually true, yeah.
だってそのための言い名付けだろ。
Wow, just saying that.
Yeah.
And of course, Maximilien is like,
Wait,
what? Oh.
つまり特権階級に愛なんて存在しないのさ。
Oh, and a good boy Maximilien just. Oh.
Okay.
He's heartbroken. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and he still has it.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. He's like, oh, I'm gonna use that.
彼らは財産の目減りを防ぐことにしか関心はないのさ。ま、君らは愛の結晶ならぬ財産の結晶というところか。どう
Wow.
かな。少
Okay.
なくともうちの両親は 恋愛結婚だったと聞いている。お前父さんを侮辱するのが向きになるところがまた怪しい。ご両親のことで何か後ろめたいことでもあるのか。
Wow.
Oh. Definitely
All too
not.
easy.
あるわけないだろ。おい坊ちゃん、ジャーナリストを気取るのもいいが、その辺にしとけ。
嘆かわしい。そう思いですか。モレル大尉殿。パリの方々は汚れている。
マクシミリアン、言い過ぎだぞ。訂正しろ。
できません。
Yeah, and for him as a soldier,
パリによって清廉潔白
putting his life on the line and all that for these people.
撤回しろ。
You draw your blade.
私は一応
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I love the respect from Maximilien here.
Yep.
Just, I would not harm you. Like,
Yeah. But do you realize what you're doing, boy?
一方的に剣などを抜いては
伯爵。
双方ともにご意見終わりのようですし。
何を言い出すん
the
ですか、伯
wind.
爵。
さあ、今こそ示すのです。あなたのご両親の愛が神聖であるというその証を。あなたはどうなさいますか。人は皆心に
The
剣を
eyes around them. God, this
清
is...
き者
Yeah.
の剣ほど鋭い。時は道しをところはへさぎ、剣は真剣。さあ、さあさあさあ。海賊
Maximilian's gonna be the better man. Disarm him.
Yeah, he's
And
not
end
gonna
the
actually
fight.
kill him.
Wow, wow.
It almost looked like the Count did something to...
アルベール様はこういった刺激に飢えておいでのはずだ。
Run.
Feeling like it's... The
This is your
music
best
picking up and
friend.
making it just feel like it's moving so fast.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So maybe this is the revenge on Mercedes that he wants, is he actually wants Albert to be killed or something.
Well, at multiple points, he's definitely probably thought about Albert as being like, well, like he's had to thought, like, you're not that useful, but I can
Right.
definitely hurt them through you. But
Uh-huh.
nah, him dying here, I just,
Yeah, it's...
I don't think he would want him to die.
哀れな人々よ。
Yep, super soldier. Yep. Yep. Yep.
清き者の剣ほど鋭い。あなたに私は倒す。
Yeah.
And that voice.
Whoa.
いいか。
Whoa.
なんと言われようと。よそが
He pushed aside the blade with his wrist there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
素手の方から来るとは。
He's like, yeah, I was taking it easy on you.
Yeah.
どうしたって言うんだ。マクシミリアンのやつ。
Right.
潔癖なんだろ。なぜそこまで貴族を軽蔑するんだよ。
ほっといてください。あなたは本当に婚約者を愛していないのですか。
それは
答えてください。
Yep. Yep. I like this.
Yeah.
わけにはいきません。
Boom.
Disarm him. He
Yep.
has nothing.
Just like that.
And that
So much for
sword
that
the cat
sound.
gave you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Gone.
はい待て。
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh! Whoa! Whoa!
Is the Count gonna save him? And he's bleeding too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's-
yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Without
god.
intervention, you're screwed.
これは夢です。すべては夢うつつ。
No way.
Yeah, he's gonna be like even more
母さんがあん
like
な顔するから。
in debt to the count now.
Oh yeah.
運命には抗えない。
恥ずかしいです。
And the friends are all gone now.
Yeah.
私には見えるのです。あなたの胸の内に眠るもう一人のあなた。
Oh. Oh, here we go.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
私にはあなたが必要なので
Oh
す。
god. Oh no.
我々はあの日、ルナで知り合いました。
Is this genuine though? Or is
Well,
this an
a part of it is, of course.
亡き私の人生とはまさにこの箱庭のことく
Miniature garden.
うつろで儚いものなのです。
Yeah.
All right.
Constructed, and false.
And yeah, but he is actually opening up to a degree.
もう伯爵と付き合うのはよせ。
Well said. That,
おかしいぞ。
Yep.
yeah, you're
But he-
changing.
But he just got emotionally vulnerable.
Right, exact.
昨日までは何でもない毎日だったのにな。
Mm-hmm.
何かが裏側に隠されているような気がする
Right.
んだ。
Oh,
Something very
yeah.
hidden.
Hiding in plain sight, maybe.
前にも言った通り、母さんとは大恋愛の末に結ばれたんだ。
That hesitation.
そうよ。恋人同士だったの。熱に浮かされてるよね、お坊ちゃま。風にでも当たってきたら？
ちゃんと掃除しとけよ。
船はどこまで行くのでしょうね。
Good question.
もう後戻りはで
He's
きない
all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
He incepted the idea into
All right.
Albert.
このパリで事業を拡大させるお考えとは、モルセール閣下の後ろ盾ほど心強いものはございません。それは光栄ですな。モンテクリスト伯爵。
Is this Danglars?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Banker, yep. Okay.
伯爵に睨まれてるとも知らずにな。粋なもんだぜ。
なあ、俺らの関係って何なのかな。
A half-assed one.
何急に。
マクシミリアンのやつが言うんだ。
You should just be honest, like, I don't know.
幼馴染だろ。
That's a deflection.
あなたもフランツも変わった。昔はいつも一緒で楽しかったのに。
Yeah.
No room for me anymore.
学校に行ったりして。
Right.
みんな変わってる。
Everybody's changing. Yeah. Nice. I like it.
ごめんなさいね。支度に手間取ってしまって。
いいえ。
あら、アルベールどうかして？そんな怖い顔して。
では、お気をつけて。
ちょっと。
And the
Alberto.
rift gets wider and wider. Oh my gosh.
I love it. Because so much of this stuff couldn't specifically be the Count's planning. But
No.
he's
But
setting it
is-
up so there's opportunities for this kind of stuff to
Well,
happen.
yeah. Oh my god. Let's go.
Wow. Right. This is what the show is currently. Like,
Right.
oh man, I love the switch. I gotta say,
Yeah.
because then whenever this happens, I'm just like, oh, I need that next episode.
Yeah. See.
I love the show.
Alright, this
I love the show.
is getting really
This
good.
is so good. Like
Yeah.
the atmosphere of everything. It's so captivating.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
oh,
a seduction.
man. Oh, absolutely.
The show is seducing
Yeah.
us slowly but surely, much like
Yep.
the Count has been seducing Albert.
Yep.
And now he used some of the most powerful mechanisms in what makes us humans: love, fear,
Yep.
and vulnerability. And he bridged those two things with his vulnerability to
Uh-huh.
where now Albert is hungry.
Right.
He feels like he's now fully alive.
Well,
Because he had a brush with death. He had a really good vulnerable encounter with a powerful man. He was enamored by external stimuli.
Yep.
And then all of this happened within the context of somewhere where he took a confident stand that was
Indeed.
ultimately on a faulty bit of ground. So
Right.
now he needs to justify his confident stand by looking at his foundation, going,
Exactly.
where are the faults?
the only
what's wrong
person
with it?
other than the Count that he trusts at this point maybe is Franz.
It's Franz.
And that's including himself.
Yeah.
Which was great because there's the whole thing of, okay, separate him from his family and things like that. Let him see the ways in which they're not being fully honest with him, so the doubt and all that stuff. Cool. But in order to really make him do whatever you say, you need to make them think that their own decision making is not enough, right?
Yeah.
That it would be better to just depend on this person,
Oh,
right?
it's
That I
so
trust so
sadistic,
much.
yeah.
It is so sadistic. It's effective.
It's very
It's
effective.
cold. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
oh
sociopathic.
man, like and as far as the fact that we're seeing this right with Albert, the perfect lamb led to slaughter, right? I can't wait to see how this plays out. Because now the Count really has him under his thumb, and Franz is the only one left. And I feel like this show will end up being broken into pre-Franz, post-Franz.
Yeah.
And when I say post-Franz, I mean...
Yeah.
So...
Well, that's part of the thing that's really tricky here.
Mm-hmm.
I will never spoil a character death. I will never do that specifically.
Gotcha.
Because you and I have read the book.
Right.
And we've also read the abridged, I believe, book as well. That was one
that's a short read. Yeah,
it's a much shorter read. And we've also watched the movie that was a completely different adaptation in general. So what I'm expecting is that this will be very much a 80% adaptation, much more than the movie's 35% adaptation.
Right, and it makes sense because the Count of Monte Cristo, the unabridged book and everything, is built to have a show like this made out of it. Right?
Oh, yes.
There's so much complicated intrigue and plot and things like that.
It was a serialized collection of little newspaper stories that were meant to string you along as possible, so you kept buying. So it's perfect soap opera drama.
Oh, yeah.
So if you condensed it all into a 2-cour anime,
and then gave it the flair of sci-fi and early 2000s 3D and stuff like that, and this crazy art style that they're doing with the clothes and all that, that is awesome. That is awesome.
So fun.
The fact that this show has existed for this long.
Yeah. And apparently has a solid dub too.
Yeah.
So it's something that we probably could have, accidentally stumbled into before we were even into anime.
Right.
Because it was probably distributed pretty decently in the US.
Oh, man.
At some point. But okay. Very, very cool stuff here because we are starting to see the Count in his humanity bring up a couple things that make us feel like, oh, Edmond's still there.
Sure.
But then we also see these parts of him that are so alien and so cold, like you were saying. Well, Albert's like, no, he's not as cold as you think, which is like saying he's less cold.
Right.
He's still cold, but he's less cold.
It's something where Albert is defending the Count more than the Count defends the Count.
It's so genius that he doesn't even need to do that.
Yeah, well, and he'll even admit a lot of the things that they say about him. It's like, well, of course, that's part of my persona. I own that I'm sketchy and all that.
Right, that's an acceptable part of the aristocracy, so it's okay. But, that they're corrupt? No!
But the Count has saved me so many times, and why would he save me if he was cold and utilitarian? Oh, wait.
Now, to be fair, one of the things that I really love about Albert is he has a lot of passion.
Yes.
So this is going to have him drive a lot of his own personal change as he encounters things that alter his perception of his family, the people close to him, and himself in general. And so it makes for a very good potato protagonist.
Well, and it's also poetic because... not talking the Count, but Edmond, he was exactly the same.
True.
Right?
Very true.
Now the difference is because the motivations of the people that wanted to take advantage of him were much simpler.
Yeah.
He was eaten alive much quicker.
Much quicker.
It was not this kind of a thing where he's getting slowly boiled. Know, right? So
trying to justify the pot that he's
exactly
swimming in.
Right. Which makes it so wonderful, both for the us seeing more of where the Count might have come from,
right?
But then also the whole idea that, hey, if there is any of you left in there, Edmond, you are doing basically the same thing that was done to you, but much worse to some people that had nothing to do with what happened to you.
Yeah.
Are you a vampire? Are you cold all the way through?
Yeah.
Is there any blood left in those veins?
Yeah, there definitely is some. That's the part where we're going to have a lot of conflict just in general, is that the Count very much has the base human desire to have them experience the pain that he experienced. So I would say, at the very least, his blood does run hot.
Sure.
But does it run warm and red? And I would say that for the ability that he has to manipulate right here, it has to somewhat, because they have to recognize at some level that he is a human being.
Right. It's the moth drawn to flame, right?
Right.
That's Albert right now.
Yeah.
And the problem, the reason why this works is that Albert, I feel like, is basically in that situation where it's the I'm going to fix you in our relationship.
Oh, really?
Like it's the
Has he acknowledged that the Count needs fixing?
Well, okay. But
so maybe
I feel like there's
later,
some maybe
because
but,
he just got vulnerable with Albert.
Sure, that's okay. That is a good point. He is doing a lot to. No. Albert's just in denial of the fact that there even is that side of the Count. But I feel like it's something where, because the Count has shown the positive sides of himself to Albert,
he's an exception.
Only to Albert, he is an exception, right? And it's something where, despite all the evidence to the contrary that everyone else sees and Albert also sees, he's like, no, but I know him better than you. Right?
And that is classic,
bad relationship
verbiage.
Right.
The thing of, no, all those things that you're giving there are actually just, you don't understand him.
It's even worse than trying to fix the person, because you're covering up in your own mind the fact that those are even problems.
Right.
Because if you're trying to fix the person, then you at least might be able to realize you don't plan on changing.
Yes, but the big reason why I'd say Albert is not just a potato protagonist who doesn't really clue into things is that if he does acknowledge that these are faults of the Count, then the Count is better than every single person he knows.
Yeah.
And his entire world is a fragile mess with no structure or foundation to it. We see that he saw his life before the Count as being basically dead. There was there was nothing to it.
Right.
And even Eugenie, who is very much trying to wake him up a little bit, but also could not be bothered to waste her time on him if he's not going to listen.
Yeah, it feels very much like the thing where Eugenie, they were childhood friends. There was the possibility that they might have actually fallen in love with the whole, arranged engagement
marriage
and
stuff,
all that stuff, right? But somewhere along the way, that didn't end up happening, right? And Albert is kind of oblivious to the fact that was even something that could have happened or might have been good to have happened or whatever. That was even really on the table, probably.
Right.
And Eugenie is probably in the situation where it's at one point I actually might have really cared, but by now it's kind of like, oh, are you finally like seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? Oh, okay. No. All right. Well, whatever.
Okay. Let me know when you smell the roses, but
exactly.
I won't be here for that.
Yeah. I do not care enough to actually be invested in that happening.
Yeah. If he had legitimately said that I do love you, I think she would have questioned it and been like, prove it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think they could have done with that, like Albert could have done with that, is basically said, I actually don't know how. And basically used vulnerability.
Sure.
To kind of bring her in. And I think that would have been a thing of where she would have been like, what's weird is I think I went through the same thing. And I don't think I love you necessarily anymore either, but I wouldn't know how to communicate that if I did. Let's explore that together. Not necessarily in any romantic way, because I probably don't have feelings for you at this point. But also just, what does that look like?
If I were to sum it up, I think it's that Eugenie does not love Albert, but she would like to. And she would like for him to love her as well.
Because of the powerlessness of being in a...
You're right. If you're in an arranged marriage, you would... how could that do anything but make it better?
Yeah.
But I think in Albert's case, even if he had said, I don't think I do, but I want to, like that, even then that would be something that she could work with, right? But there's such indifference towards her that she can't work with it.
It's wonderful too, because you can tell that what they're getting at thematics wise in a lot of things is that the aristocrats are all just like the Count. The Count is playing a part of, I'm going to become the best of your world. Like, I'm not just going to take revenge on you and bring you down to the level I was at when I was at my lowest point in the Chateau d'If. I'm going to ascend to the highest heights of your world, bring you up with me, and then cast you down like a god, down to the bottomless pits. And in order to do that, he needs to play up the best aspects of a successful aristocrat,
he's going to convince them to climb the gallows, thinking that they're ascending to something greater, and then the floor drops out from underneath.
So he's getting into bed with Morcerf. They are going to be business partners. Now, one of the things that I want to be like careful with what I loosely remember is that Morcerf is ambitious.
Yeah.
But he's also the one that's kind of the lowest in the social pecking order a little bit when it comes to the other two.
Oh, was he?
I believe so. I'm not sure. Danglars is the highest.
Well, okay, so
Danglars is freaking wealthy at this point.
Right. There was a point, and this was something that always stood out to me in the book, because when I read the book, I was coming in from the movie, so it's like, oh, here are all these things that are different.
Right?
So different, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things that really stood out to me is there's a point where there's a question of like bloodlines, basically,
yes.
and for like the sake of inheritance and things like that. And I want to say that might have been Morcerf, but I'm not sure.
It might have been because, you know, Mercedes' past is considered not good by the
maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
But all that being said, I wanted to bring up the idea that Villefort is the politician.
Yes.
So he could potentially go even higher than all of them.
Right.
But Morcerf has this like almost like, I'm an aristocrat, but I could be beloved. Like Morcerf like could be the kind of person that goes and aims a little bit higher even now. And as far as I remember, he does. Like he aims higher than his office, you know, currently. And the Count will be the I'll bring you up. Let's go, you know?
Sure.
So I'm really excited to see where that kind of pulls Albert even further apart from his family, because the stuff that they're doing with Mercedes right now is perfect and just enough that we are aware of it, that it's happening.
Yep, exactly. And the whole bit where she's gazing out into the
she's
night
tortured
sky,
right now,
absolutely tortured, and then we just shift over and we see the Count also staring out. I love that so much because the thing is, okay, in any other story, I would be like, that is such a cliche. Oh my God, yes, the two people love each other and they're staring out, thinking about each other. No. But what does that mean for the Count? Because
not necessarily thinking good things.
Well, not necessarily, but part of it could be.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
Because Mercedes is the complicated one. He wants revenge against her as well. She is on his list.
But
there are 4 people, but he loved her.
He did.
And there might be some part of him that still loves her.
Yeah. I can't wait to see how this adaptation handles their complicated relationship through this eventual chaos that's coming.
Because even like the desire for revenge that he must have against her, right? It's there must be love in order for it to become twisted. If there is nothing, then that's ambivalence, right? That's Albert's feelings towards Eugenie, right?
Sure.
So the fact that this is happening just means that's more complicated, and then that's examples of where the Count isn't necessarily cold. His blood might run hot, right? And that's still a problem, and that will cause all kinds of conflict.
Right.
But then it's not necessarily straightforward.
Yeah, because him being a vampire means that there's going to be a point where he'll bare his fangs and he'll plunge deep into the marrow of, or just the meat of one of them and just suck them dry.
Yep.
But until that time, he has to be careful. What they did with Maximilien here,
that was fun.
I felt like was one of the best kind of ways of utilizing a character to build up another character. Albert as a character, I'm starting to realize he is the potato protagonist. And I've said that like 3 times thus far. What we mean when we say potato is that they're an adorably wholesome, dime a dozen dumb boy.
Right.
They are trying
potato
to do their best.
Potato doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All it means is that they got bricks for brains, basically. And yet, potatoes, there's nothing evil about a potato.
They make great hash browns and French fries, and
they can be used to great effect in many ways.
But on their own,
they need seasoning.
Right? They need
exactly. Seasoning.
Maybe some meat.
Yeah, exactly. So Maximilien comes in as the seasoning and says, "Prove it to me that you're not like all of them,
right?
And just say that you love her."
And he can't
Albert
do it.
can't do it because he's too much of an honest potato.
Right.
He would never lie to himself. Or would he? Wait.
Yeah.
Has he been lying to himself this whole time?
He would never knowingly lie to himself or others.
He was forced by this confrontation with Maximilien to realize parts of his character that are flawed.
Right.
So he basically just went through a big, like, character development moment by just being asked a simple question that he was forced to answer because of the severity of the context.
And now he can have a dark night of the soul.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
But,
yes.
you know, maybe while the Count's there. Because, you know, that whole thing of him saving him and all that, like, that's, oh man.
I have to assume that the Count is basically masterfully winging this part of it. Because at this point here, he was like, okay, option A, Albert dies. Okay, that sucks. But I kind of like that.
Yeah, I still get something out of it.
I still get something out of it. Option B, Maximilien dies. That's actually one I would be really impressed with Albert if he actually did that. But I feel like I could really manipulate Albert even more if that happened.
Well,
third option.
But he probably doesn't want that to happen.
No, that's this one that he at least wants to happen.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Third option, neither of them dies, but you know, they come to a little bit more of an understanding. There's a little bit of this that I don't like, because then they could end up maybe reforging their friendship in a way that could be too strong for me to butt in anymore.
But if I keep them from mending things after the damage, you know, I can keep them apart.
But this is the part where I think he didn't see this coming at all, was that Albert then lunged after him, gets suplexed, thrown off the side, and he's like, wait, shit, this isn't a death that really works for me. Oh, wait, hold on. I don't want him dying here outside of the duel in my area where Morcerf, an eventual business partner, will then come in here and be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You don't need business here. You're freaking insanely wealthy.
Sure.
What can I offer you? No, nothing. I am looking to take something from you. Like,
sure.
That's if Albert died here and it wasn't under the context of, oh, it was just a duel and I can blame Maximilien, you know, for it.
He fell into the water and the sharks ate him. You know, it's like that might potentially fall a little bit on the Count.
So then the Count's like, yes, I can get him alone, save him again, double down on this whole thing.
And that's what I love about this, because there are, especially in anime, I feel like there can be this tendency to want to have everything, like the smart people have everything planned out perfectly.
Right.
They never make mistakes. They know all the variables, and there's nothing. They
literally
can see
predict
the future.
what their rival is saying half a continent away.
Right.
And then plan around the thing that they're saying.
And there are some times when you can make that work when it's really general, really macro. But the real amazing Jack Sparrow geniuses are the Jack Sparrows. They're the improvisers. They're the ones that are so fast on their feet.
You can't tell if they're just lucky.
or if they really have planned this all out perfectly, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know.
Or making it up as they go along.
Or making it up as they go along, right? It's the dungeon master behind the screen, and it's like, haha, and they're like, wow, you must have this all planned out. There's nothing on your notes, you know?
Right.
Like,
literally, I love bringing this up, but it's literally the Kung Fu Panda moment half the time with the DMs, where they look at the DM's
blank.
notes.
Yeah.
It's blank. And
right.
They're just like, what?
Now, the Count has plans. He has spent a lot of time making these plans. But he is smart enough and quick enough to be flexible in his plans. If something happens that he didn't exactly expect, that's fine. The fact that Peppo was saying like, oh, you know, you should like go and get some fresh air, let me clean your room. That was probably to send him over so he could see, you know, the whole situation with Mercedes, right?
It could have been. Yeah.
Could have been, right? You know, he gave her detailed instructions or things like that. But a lot of the stuff that happens at that home is more of fortune favors the prepared, right? You know, it's the do things that set things up to potentially happen and then trust that they will happen, right? You know, sow the doubt, and there will be the evidence that Albert will be able to see of there's more to this going on than I originally thought. Maybe I can't fully trust them, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, the Count doesn't necessarily know everything that Mercedes is doing and everything that Albert is doing and thinking and all that stuff. Like, no. But you can set it up. Yeah. And then the dominoes just sort of can tend to fall in a way that's beneficial.
Yeah, as long as they're falling in the general direction that he's able to continue working with.
He can keep guiding and adjusting. And
the main thing he can control is himself with this insane amount of resources. Which, another thing was brought up again, maybe this is something that the Count did set up really, really well, because Maximilien feels like the odd addition to their little crew of aristocrats and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that, well, he's the noble boy. He has the good heart. He is not, he's a bit naive, if you will, but he is also,
He's
I would
steadfast.
say... Yeah, exactly. So he's probably the easiest to predict, which means that bringing him in here
I like it.
and showing him all this wealth, which they all go, hey, come on, let's be real.
How much did you spend on this? You know,
Well, not just how much did you spend on this, but once someone gets this wealthy, you're not necessarily a good person anymore.
You've
started to do things with this money.
Yeah, let's
that
be
would
real.
a bit
in
off.
order to get this money,
Right, yeah, exactly.
There's no way you did it through legit means. And the Count's like, well, of course, you know.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
That's all. You think I wear a big top hat for nothing? You know,
Right,
like it's all part of the show.
Right. So all this show,
Mm-hmm.
I think, might even be his slow burn big way to tear down the Parisian aristocracy.
Oh,
And
okay.
and this could be where the adaptation slightly differs a little bit, is that he's going to use disgruntled youth like Maximilien,
All right.
maybe even Albert, to be like, I'm going to use this as a little test here. How much or how quickly can I turn them to violence against each other
Sure.
without doing anything?
Right.
Just showing them this.
Well, yeah.
Let them
Showing
talk
them this
amongst themselves.
And just giving Albert a sword.
Right, because this feels like a microcosm of his revenge. They're all connected to families of import,
Right.
and he's just the person that set them up to be here, but he is not actively taking a part in their conversation.
Right. And also, let's remember, they all came here as friends. They came here together. It's not like they had any beef before this, right?
No.
It's just all of a sudden, like at most, maybe Maximilien had that little bit of like jealousy towards Franz of like,
Yeah, because he likes Valentine.
he likes Valentine, right?
Yeah,
and the whole thing of like, he didn't blow up at Franz,
Nope.
right?
Nope. Well, but that's because freaking dumbass Albert pointed a sword at him.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Albert would have gotten frustrated him in the exact same way. He just wouldn't have had a sword to point at him if the Count didn't give him one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like him saying, okay, which of these kids is the most like, why am I even asking this? I'm giving the sword to Albert.
Right.
He's the one I'm working right now.
Well, and,
so.
and again, the specific sword and all that stuff, which then I love that he gives him that specific sword, but then it gets lost into the lake.
Right. Which is basically like saying this was kind of winged. He didn't get this all to work out exactly as he would have liked.
Right.
Unless he's like, hey, guys, can you go get that sword? It's somewhere down in there.
Right.
Let's get the scuba gear.
Yeah.
Get everything.
I
need that sword.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I rescued it for you.
It's gonna be kind of shitty and
Fine,
okay.
I'll do it myself. He just jumps into the water, sinks to the bottom, because he doesn't need to breathe. Just
Right.
He lets all the air out, walks around and finds
I
it.
really would like that moment to come at some point where Albert is handed the sword again, and then the Count's like, "You'll find I'm capable of many things," and or whatever. And it's just a thing where Albert's like,
Because
whoa,
if he
okay.
doesn't get the sword again, then that means that calling card that he gave was basically tossed aside. And if that's part of the plan, then that's basically the Count stroking his own dick and being like, watch, I'm going to give him a card that says Edmond Dantes, and he won't even realize it.
Right.
And it'll get thrown away, and Mercedes won't even ever see it, even though Albert has seen it in the pictures, but he won't have the sword later to reference to the picture, like maybe he'll remember.
It'll trigger a memory at some point.
Right, exactly. But it's like, oh yeah, I totally have this all under control. Like,
one of the things that I think I must have missed before, but the girl's name is Haiti, and I'm like 100% sure that's an important character in the books.
It's starting to sound familiar,
know who it is, but that name is 100% a name from the books.
One of the things that's tough about the book is that
there's a lot of characters.
There's a lot of characters. On top of that, characters are not always who they say they are.
Yes,
because the Count goes in disguise plenty of times, right?
Many times,
and then there are times where you're dealing with a situation, a scene, or whatever, right? And you're like,
you don't know that you're actually reading the Count's dialogue.
Right. And then sometimes you're actually not, and the Count isn't even there, right? And he set everything up so perfectly he doesn't need to be there,
but it feels like he's there.
But it feels like he's there, and that's why the
boogeyman,
right? And that's why the presentation of this is all so amazing. But so when there's a character like Haiti, right? It's like
damn it, Haiti, yeah. Who is that again?
Who is right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay, across those 1,800 pages or however long the book is,
200 or
oh
something,
my God,
actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, who was Haiti? And the thing that sucks is I'm like, shit, I think her name was said already.
Oh, yeah?
But for whatever reason, I'm not remembering, who that is.
Right, and then the fact that, he's saying, she's a doll, it's like, okay, so, what's the...
Yeah.
That feels like the sci-fi representation of
her personality.
Of her personality or things like that, but she could actually be a doll, right? She might not actually be a regular person because it's sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
But if that's the case, what is the carryover parallel to what it actually was in the book, which wasn't a sci-fi,
Wait a minute.
So what?
I have a thought.
What?
Could she be his thrall?
That's
like a vampire.
No, yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering.
She's also a vampire?
Could be. Totally could be. But then what's the... But then,
that's cool.
If that's the case, then what was the thing back in the book? What?
Well. Here's the thing: the Count was very frivolous. He very much had little lovers, trysts, and all kinds of things and stuff that he was doing.
Maybe that's what she was. She was basically just
she was someone that probably he was very intimate with.
Right, and also probably in a way maybe kept in his retinue in order to give more of that sense of officiality, maybe, because
sure, she could be connected.
If the aristocracy sees someone going around and they're a single dude, very powerful, but they don't seem to have any interest in actually making a family, then that's different.
That's a little unnerving.
That could be a little unnerving. Whereas if you see someone that's I theoretically could be a family man, maybe. I'm part of the aristocracy, so I'm trying
to build my own legacy.
Exactly. But that's at the very least something familiar.
Right.
Whereas if you see someone who is not trying to set down roots, maybe we can't fully trust them. Maybe they're not fully invested.
They have not as much to lose.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. Yeah. Which I do think he's already kind of dropped the ball a little bit in that regard.
Oh, totally.
But that might be his point, is that he looks dangerous enough to them, but his behavior shows someone that might be I'm naively rich and I just go around helping people because I'm shady, yes, but I have this side of me that is good-hearted. And they're like, oh, we will manipulate that from you, yes. Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and by putting the side of himself forward that is shady, right? The aristocracy, they're used to the smiles that conceal daggers, right? So they're like, okay, we can deal with this, without realizing that the I'm shady is actually concealing something far, far, far worse.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're like, oh yeah, no, he's just putting that on display, right? We know what we're dealing with. The devil you know.
Yeah.
You don't know this devil.
You don't know this devil at all.
Yeah.
And I really like the aspect of there potentially being something supernatural about him beyond the vampire stuff, because he might have telepathically communicated with Albert.
And he might have wiped the memories or altered the memories or hypnotized the friends.
Yes. And Maximilien might have been incensed in a way that was beyond the fact that his justice button was triggered because of Albert's naivete as well.
And if it was just his justice button, great. That's good characterization for Maximilien, because characters are more interesting when they have flaws, right? Especially with someone like the Count, right?
Yeah.
Because that's... If he's not making any mistakes, what's the point of watching the story? He's going to win. There will be no conflict. Lambs to slaughter. That's it, right?
Right.
So getting that side from Maximilien, that's good.
Right. And also, having the Count being someone that you're kind of both rooting for and not rooting for.
Right.
That's kind of the point of the story, is that you're like, wait a minute. Even if you know the meta stuff of the backstory entirely, you could still look at what he's doing and go, okay,
right,
gotcha. But still, dude, that's
going a bit far.
That's going a bit far. And right now, it's all threats and buildup, and not really threats, but he is a threat by existing.
Yep.
But it's a buildup of what will he actually do with all this, and it's just wait and see.
Just wait and see. And then on top of that, there's also the thing of, even morality aside, and this is one of the reasons why I love it, because even if you're totally on the Count's side, right, and you're like, yes, I want to see him beat them, you know,
They're
and
scumbags.
everything he does is justified,
everything.
you know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's still maybe that idea of like, but for the sake of, you know, a little bit of thought to the underdog, what kind of a fight will they put up? You know, like what will they, let me see them struggle even, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the part that we're really doing a good job of building up is by having Albert be the main character and not the Count.
Right.
It makes the Count feel like a more mysterious force, like he was in the books, than an actual human being.
Right. That was the biggest thing that surprised me when I read the books after watching the movie, is how it's like, yes, Edmond, right up to the point about where he gets the treasure. And then you like never see his perspective again. Like,
he died. Like,
yeah.
And this is the thing that I really like about him being a vampire, is that we might have some very key differences in this adaptation because of the fact that he is literally dead in the mechanics of this world.
Right.
So
yeah,
that part, for those of you that are like even more book readers where you've got the whole story on lock, like we are not those people.
If
like,
you do,
salute to you. That gets me really excited about really big parts in the book that could go very differently.
Yes. Because, if nothing else, this Count is not going to be disguising himself.
Well,
I mean, he could, but
he definitely will at least once
or
twice.
But it'll be harder.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't have to be for us. Because of the difference of medium, he could be disguised and we know that it's the Count.
Right, but
he could, because this is a sci-fi Jacob.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
He could just have a hologram.
Yeah. Or just, to hell with hologram, he just has a private surgeon that reconstructs himself to look like anybody. You know? Yeah. Oh, man.
In fact, I'm really excited to like have the reveal at some point when it's like, oh, this character?
Like he Johann Lieberts it, where it's just
this character was always the Count. Yeah. Because we're still at that point of manageable character cast.
Yes.
But as we get introduced to Danglars, eventually to the other families and such, we can get things to where it spiderwebs so much to where it's like, okay, now we have like 20 side characters here.
Like,
and one of them might just be the Count.
There were points where the book would go into like scenes where the Count was like getting revenge on people, and I didn't even realize how they were connected to the people who originally wronged him.
Right.
Like I was like, what's going on? And then with like other sometimes it would go into whole arcs for just like the family of one of the people.
Yeah.
So it's
because that's the combination of the brilliant writing, but also that soap opera. We want to keep you
right. You're paid by the word basically, and
or by the entry basically.
Right. Yeah. So keep this popular and
keep it going as long as
keep
possible.
It coming. Yeah.
So I also want to see how they abridge the pacing in this as well by cutting out a lot of stuff in general. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Stream every weekday. Info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.